Ooh, that's a 10-second delay or so. Okay. For anyone who checks into this uh, in the future, oh, I gotta mute my own computer. Because I doubt anyone will pop into the chat while I'm actually recording this. I've only ever gotten usually one person, and I don't know who they are. Someone who's bored, I imagine. But for anyone popping into this in the future, as the description says, this is a uh, very casual playthrough of the Stanley Parable. I will actually be resetting my game progress after getting through this screen, which will hurt my heart because you can see I'm at 21 since getting the epilogue. But I want to reset it to get all of the sort of perma changes reset, be able to get all of the endings au natural again, rather than just using the memory zone bathroom. Um, there won't be a ton of commentary, but I will intermittently just stop so I can basically talk to myself about the things I love about this game and about the commentary it's making, because I do very much love it. So that is what this will be, a very just chill playthrough, discussing the themes of this really awesome game. I don't know how much thought I should put into this title since I will just be getting rid of it right away, but a door to love. I also hope my mic quality is audible and not too bad. I tested it beforehand, but I am just using a... Oh. I am using a very mid, just basic headset. It's not a recording headset at all, just a gaming headset. So the quality is not superb. Um, but from when I tested it, there wasn't any popping or too much background noise, just kind of a general hum. I do hope it's not gonna kick me off the broadcast. I don't think it has to reset the entire application, but I guess we'll see. If it does cut out, that is why. To a fresh install. Makes me a little worried that it's going to reset the application, but we'll try it. Okay, it won't, but... Oh, it hurts my heart. Oh, it hurts my heart. No! Back to the beginning. Yes, I was just here. I'm gonna reset all my settings too. My bumpscosity. It is 6:38 p.m. And I will give it to you straight, timekeeper. Here you go. Thanks. I also hope this mic doesn't pick up on the game audio too much. Oh, my epilogue. Sag. Alright. I will not be talking over the narrator at all. So whenever he's going at it, unless I have something very pertinent to say, I will pause for that, but otherwise I will just let him go, and we'll only talk in between. The end is loading.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
First, he went into his settings menu to fix it. Why can't I change the... Yes, I know. But I want to change it. It won't let me change the reticle type. Well, I don't want that. Well, that's fine. I guess I can't do anything about it. Oh my god. Okay. Sensitivity's a little high. There we go. Nice and slow.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
My bucket! I don't even care for the bucket. I missed it. It's not there anymore. I'm so used to it being there. Oh, can I not? I can't even get the button yet. The button ending. Heaven ending. I don't really have a plan for the endings I'm going to pick. I'm sort of just going to go with what I feel like doing each time I come to a choice. It's been a very long time since I played through the first time, as the 21 title at the very beginning of this showed. So there are a few things I don't actually remember how to get normally, like how the main storyline progresses. I don't fully remember, just because it's been so long and I have not just watched a playthrough of it since I have it. So I'll just be taking it as it comes.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Come on. Let me up. I really don't know why some of these chairs allow you to get up and some of them don't. I believe they're all the same model. None of them are lower or higher than each other, but... I want to get on the table. I wish I had Wish I had zoom. Free cam would be fantastic, but even just a heftier zoom than the FOV we can toggle would be really nice. Be able to read all these things. What do people want? Happy feelings. The firing of me. Find teenagers some sort of child trap. This is more thought into demographics than I think actual corporate meetings probably put.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, I get to get figurines again. It's been so long. It's been so long since I've seen a figurine. A Figanley. I don't know what determines whether I can go in this room or not. I've not figured it out yet. I've not paid attention each time I can what I have or haven't done, but it feels random without yet knowing.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course,
really?
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
I wish you could fall here. I've tried a lot. I've actually gotten stuck right there. You might have noticed a bit of a stick, but I got stuck there for almost a minute. I thought I was gonna have to reset at one point. No dice though. No dice in terms of falling. I've also tried pressing the button and getting out of the elevator before the doors close, but as soon as you press that button, an invisible wall goes up, even before the doors activate. I'm no professional game breaker, but I watch my fair share.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Why does my reticle change when I back up? Is it just activating because of that? Strange.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I'll visit you later, curator. We're gonna kick all of this off with the most banging ending.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
I want to know who the pirate is. This is why I want free camera. A bigger zoom. A deeper zoom. One that says pirate. I don't know if that's important at all. Well, not important, but
this mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
What is that? Give it a couple moments, see if I can see that when the elevator's going up.
No. Refused to believe it. He couldn't accept
Please?
it. His own
Please?
life in
Please?
someone else's control? Never.
God damn it.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Bet.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
And that is one of the best endings in the whole game. My favorite monologue, just singular monologue. It is getting to that ending and the actual execution of it is the single what will be the word for it, most prime example of how sadistic the narrator can get, but for almost not a good reason. He's not justified in how he reacts, but the fact he reacts is fair. To get to the countdown ending, you need to follow his instructions for the most part. You can deviate at the right door, but you have to go his way almost entirely up until the literal last choice before you are free. Free, quote heavy quotations. And that's when you decide, oh, fuck this, and go against him right at the absolute last moment. And that is a huge slap in the face for somebody like the narrator who truly ultimately does want Stanley free and wants Stanley happy, but cannot, for whatever reason, grant him genuine freedom, but tries to provide it in the form of this story he's made. But he's far too... He has an ego, but it's quite fragile and quite dependent on other people, and that ego only holds when everything goes exactly how he'd like it to. So when you do everything the way he said, final moment from him, it's extremely sadistic. He spends 4 minutes or so just digging into you and enjoying the fact that you are struggling and enjoying the fact that you're going to die. You can see that in the replay version of it where the dialogue changes just a bit. If you get that ending more than twice in a row, if you do it 2 times or more in a row or more, each of those subsequent times, the dialogue will alter right at the end for him to comment on the fact that you've already done this and questioning how many times you're going to do this, and that he's looking forward to seeing you die every time you try and fail to disarm the detonation. And it's a few other times he shows his I keep using the word, but it's appropriate, his more sadistic streak, but none of them are as potent as that ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
There it is.
Oh, and I guess this is where Stanley felt he needed to be right now, in this little hallway. Here, with no distractions, to study room 417. Not to actually enter it. No. That would be far too forward. Stanley wanted to know it from the outside. To see it not just with his eyes, but with his heart. He would know room 417 as no man or woman had ever known an office before. That ladder over there. Oh, and that little picture of a horizon or something. It's all just a never-ending parade of joy for Stanley.
See, any little slight deviation gets you sarcasm and jokes and mockery. At its worst, it's direct harm or direct insults. But anything that isn't exactly how he's written it gets you some quip or another. But then when it comes down to it, if you tell him, if you could, but if he's told, the reason I deviated is because your story's boring, as soon as it becomes personal, his entire script flips and it becomes all about people pleasing. I am not looking forward to seeing that in action in the skip button ending, but it's very interesting to dissect his behavior. Very strange for this not to be open. I'm so used to that just being...
No, apparently not.
Shush.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
This would be a great place for a conversation pit. Line this with couch backs, have a little entry like right here, just fill it in with cushions in the center.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
I'm talking about interior design. I need to get snappy.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh. The ramp's gone. I guess that only shows up once you've gotten the... Huh. I kind of thought that was always there. Why are there... When this does pop up, there's walkways all the way over to there. And I now don't know why. I wonder if there's a Stanlerine over there. I don't remember where all the Stanlerines are. I think I remember 3 or 4 of them.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really?
Barely clear.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Sure.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
This ending is one of the more painful ones. Because as sadistic as the narrator can be, Stanley can be just as hurtful. It's a two-way street, the cycle that these two are in. It's self-perpetuating. Neither of them want to be here, but both of them keep it going. And the power dynamic is not one-sided. The narrator has control of this world, but clearly does not have direct control over Stanley. And Stanley does not have control over the world, nor what choices he's given necessarily, but he has the psychological power over the narrator. And the both of them wield the tools they do have with unceasing ferocity. Neither of them will bend. And that's why you get endings like this.
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
This room is genuinely very pretty. This light show is very cool. I have genuinely just come in here, sat my camera upwards, and just let it go as background ambiance. No ads. And the narrator does not talk if you don't actually leave the area, so it's a perfect little place for just some nice, relaxing nothingness while you're doing something else. It is very, very pretty. And also a very, very dead end.
No! What did we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you?
Death means nothing.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Oh, it hurts. I hate getting this one. This one and the skip ending. Button ending. The both of them are quite painful to actually go through. I hate making them feel bad. Sorry, Nair.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
I've thought about it.
No! Oh. Thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment.
Oh,
Now, can we please get back to the other room?
yeah, with my broken legs, I will limp back to get more of your dialogue.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
I would love to stay here, narrator. I really would. But it doesn't make for a good podcast.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
I'm not looking for good.
No. No. What do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
I unfortunately can't, my guy.
My God, is this really how much my game?
No.
That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
No. Ah. That line.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Ugh.
Do you
I love
actually
that
want
line,
to stay
but
alive? Or are you just teasing me?
I'm milking you dry, my guy. Getting every bit of dialogue I can out of you.
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
I usually have the three-pointed reticle. I'm not sure why that's not available. I'm guessing maybe that's something you unlock. But that's true. It's interesting because if I just kind of spin around and look into the distance, you can kind of easily just forget which one is mine. We can't stay here looking at stars all day, though. We got places to be. We got things to do. We got endings to see. We've got atrocities to commit. See you on the other side, Nair.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I like the interpretation of the cycle as something that both of them always remember. That they're both aware of it and remember every previous cycle. But the way that the game takes it, the actual canon way that the narrator seems to understand it, is this vague sense of knowing there have been cycles, but not seeming to fully remember them, nor know how many there are. And he knows that things reset. We just saw that. But doesn't always seem to know how. In a lot of the endings, he resets the game, or a final event, some wrapping up, does it. But there are other endings where he knows that if Stanley goes, the game will reset because Stanley is the key component there, and that he'll go with him. Narrator will go with Stanley with that reset. But then other ones like the whiteboard ending or the confusion ending, not the whiteboard, the confusion ending, he doesn't seem to realize that the game can reset itself and believes that you two have stopped the resets by him refusing to follow the schedule that you find. And he doesn't see it coming. He's just talking to you when the game blares an alarm and resets it forcefully. And so it's interesting how much control he doesn't seem to have.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm going to heaven. Oh, my beloved. Sure.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
It's been a very long time since I've seen the new content.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Me too.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
You're so very impatient.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or up? Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions
You're
of
so
Stanley
impatient.
Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Oh my god, it's DashCon.
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
I'm gonna save those jumps.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
More elevators, Griffin's favorite.
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
Oh.
What do you say, friend?
Friend! See, he genuinely wants the best for Stanley. He just isn't the most stable. Um? I truly, genuinely don't recognize this.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Just a moment. But what if I go that way?
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
I really want to do both. But that door will close behind me. I know there's the vent in the warehouse, but you're a dork anyway. Okay.
Oh,
I'll bite.
Never mind. You're not a dog.
Okay, I gotta. Does that say? I had to say coffee nut. Nut. I gotta see if there's. Okay. I have to double check. I have to be sure. He's a dog. No. He's gonna be so upset.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special, and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
The hardest ending to get through.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
This place is genuinely beautiful. Very pretty locale.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Why are there just random magazines? I know that text is small, but it's tape that is taped over The Last of Us. An award for The Last of Us. (1951). Series room. And if you ever actually do have a choice, let me know how you did it. That's fun. What is that? Memory zone temp. Huh. Who's the dude? Who's that guy? It just says remember. I want that on my wall, unironically. Me first dollar. That's pretty cool. 3 nominations. A designer hat. But a small creature owns the other half.
Je suis dans la mémorisation, c'est la pluie des loups, et je n'attends plus que toi, mon amour. C'est là.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Oh, way to fucking shit on Dear Esther. Dear Esther wastes a form of interactive entertainment. Buddy! Dear Esther was going for something different. Before we leave, I do want to show the complete lack of collision in these rocks. I'm collecting a mental collection of all of the non-existent collision in objects that should definitely have collision. So far, I've got 2. These rocks and the chair in Stanley's office. No collision. Oh my god, I want those. I want a Stan Loreen. A Faganley. Stan Figleranley.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Why does that look like a Skyrim bar? I want to go to the serious room. I would love this collection here. This would be very cool to have. I don't even have a PC to play it on. It'd be neat.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Thumbs up.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Before we step for one more time, this ending's always the hardest to get through. Purely because it's so revealing of the narrator. It's the most personal ending for his character. And I relate to the narrator far too deeply. In a way that definitely isn't good. And the entire reason this ending happens, the reason you even get the epilogue, is all started because of just the desire to make things that everybody enjoys, and being unable to take that's not possible. It's not possible to make something that every person will enjoy. Because by virtue of somebody enjoying it, somebody else won't. That's a baseline. And then beyond that, if you want to still try to cater to as general an audience as possible, you're going to water down whatever you're making to the point where you're likely not going to be proud of it. And even if you are, it's likely not going to be much of something. The most impactful things, the most grand or moving or personal creative endeavors are not ones that appeal to a huge variety of people. They're always going to block off somebody, some audience, some demographic. That's a good thing, though. The more perspectives you get in creative endeavors, the better. It's good to have seclusion in the sense that you are divisive, you're providing a different view of something. And sometimes that view is not good. Sometimes that view is pretty shit. But trying to make every media ever appeal to a general audience is not healthy for media, nor for the people taking it in.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Half hour of pain, here we go.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, until 245. But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the...
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their pressurized gas review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on how exactly pressurized gas works. Perhaps that would have been a smart thing to check on before I went on about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is who runs pressurized gas will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with pressurized gas altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
All right. I'll give him a little bit to write that up. I don't remember how long he takes, but I I know I'm not the only one about this. That a lot of folks can relate to. A lot of creators can relate to this struggle we hear him go through of making something you're incredibly proud of, and facing the fact that not everyone's going to get it or care or like it, and being able to understand that that doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. It it's just how things are. Something can be completely unproblematic and very good and full of love and effort from you, and somebody will still find something to dislike about it. That's just going to happen. And sometimes there is good criticism to be gained, but a lot of the time it's it's just a matter of they're not the target. And that's hard to accept, especially as somebody who wants to make something for other people who is not super self-driven. I know I very much am driven by uh, other people.
From
I
the
want to
ashes
create
of depravity rises...
for other people, and knowing that despite my best efforts and despite my best intentions, not everyone's going to get what I'm trying to tell, whatever story I'll be trying to tell, or whatever message I'm trying to get across. Hearing the narrator go through that struggle here and how badly it goes is is difficult. It hurts on a soul deep level. Like I get it, and I wish I could do something to help. I'll let him talk now.
the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe? Such a revolutionary step forward in the lineage of one of the most beloved video game properties of all time. The additions and changes made to this expansion will surely resonate in the annals of the history of all media ever made. It is perhaps true to say that no mistakes are forever etched in stone, for the stone into which the Stanley Parable was carved has itself been transmuted, offering a message of hope to those who have ever erred in their judgment. You are not beyond redemption. You may change, and you may become more, so much more than you were before. If there is any message to be taken from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, it is this. What a fortune, a privilege, a joy it is to have had such an experience. It leaves me hopeful that as a community, as a world, there is time for us to become our greatest selves, as great as we ever could dream of in our wildest, most ambitious visions for a brighter future. Wow. Now, Stanley, that's a review. It's perfect. It's the perfect review. It's the review I've always dreamed of receiving. I have to read it again. It's simply too wonderful. I have to experience this just one more time. From the ashes of depravity. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door, as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please. Please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
I honestly don't know if he comes back. I've never looked it up directly. But I have waited here before for about as long as it takes him to come back with the review. I don't know if he ever comes back with something. There is a line of dialogue I've heard. I don't know where it's from. I feel like it could be from here, but without knowing how long I should have to wait, I'll be going. So it's been over an hour. We've been in this room now. It is almost 2:30.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking, and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
That monologue there is one of the harder ones to relate to of the ones he says here, of just him realizing that it's not really the act of creation in and of itself that drives him. It's the knowledge that whatever he creates is being taken in. And that's such a sad thing to hear, knowing what's coming up. Knowing how this ends. Sag.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. the spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
There is an absolutely fantastic fic I read just a few weeks back that reimagined this ending. It was by Alexis Royce on AO3. It's called Whatever the Opposite of a Speed Run Is. I will gladly promote it free of charge because it is a brilliant piece of writing that more intimately captures the waiting. In the game, for obvious reasons, Stanley can't communicate with the narrator, but in the fic, there is a communication between them, and it allows for more character exploration and this the exploration of the very unique relationship the two have with these very unique circumstances, and the way that Alexis captures the unimaginable length of waiting that the narrator, and in their version Stanley as well, goes through is incredible. I forget the exact numbers. I have seen, though, a graph somebody made of how much time is skipped. By using the first few skips, you get actual time updates on how long you have been away. And they use that to measure how long each button press is. And I forget what it gets up to, but it gets to some pretty big numbers, pretty unfathomable lengths in years that the narrator was left alone. And in Alexis's fic, Stanley does not continue to press the button. He presses it for the final time by accident and skips about 20,000 years, and that is when he comes to, the narrator is stuck on his repeating, and Stanley deals with that for some couple of hundreds of thousands of years, just waiting. And the fic, like I stated, explores it in a more personal and in-depth way than the game ever could, simply because it is a game. It is not telling one story. It cannot in full predict what a player might feel, but it still does touch on the same themes with the narrator specifically, but you see it in the environment each time you skip, how things are changing, and you see it in the narrator when he does appear, and even when he's not there, just how long that is, how long you have to sit there. And what hurts more is the realization that the narrator's not stuck here like you. He can leave. He does. In other places in the game, he ups and walks away, and he does here when he goes looking for a door early on. He's not physically trapped here. He can go. We don't know how far or what that necessarily entails, but he's not trapped in this box with you. But he stays. despite it all, despite you in the game willingly pressing this button, knowing what's going to happen, he doesn't leave. He stays with you the whole time until he breaks. And it's one of those things that you remember every time the narrator does something mean, to put it very nicely. Something mean or to an extreme sadistic. I think I bumped my microphone there. I apologize if there was a noise there, but it's something you remember, that he's very reactive, but ultimately he does care for Stanley. And the fact that he stays here during the skip button ending is the ultimate proof of that, I think. And it's upsetting to be the one to cause it. I don't know what that sound is supposed to be, if it's supposed to be anything in particular. My personal interpretation is the narrator attempting to drive a train into the box to break it. But I doubt that's what was intended. Oh, this one. I get it.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves that they couldn't help but leave a negative review on pressurized gas. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison, perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny, it was meant to have a point. The end is never the end, 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 is never the
I would love to know what broke in this one corner. Because this doesn't look like a natural collapse, not with how thick this multi-layered concrete box was. It looks like something impacted it. And considering that nowhere else does the building show any sign of breaking down, there's no cracking anywhere else, there's nothing falling out, it's just this one corner, it says very clearly to me that something hit it. And I would love to know what. You could easily climb up there. Well, maybe not easily, but you could. It's very possible to climb up and out of here. And I would love to know what those are supposed to be. What those sounds are. That's a great shift, by the way. Going from very, very verdant green to the void again, with just ash and dirt. Wondering how long. I mean, you saw a forest out there, at the very least some very tall trees right around you. That had to have taken quite a while in its own right. So how much longer was it from then to this? What is that? The skip button ending, especially once the narrator has stopped being a part of it, as a fantastic use of sound design. And we're back, just like that. I don't remember how you get the epilogue. I mean, there's definitely other things that I have to do first, but I don't remember all of what it is. Such a harsh reset, that one. Going through all that for about half an hour, and then just, here you are. Oh, no collision.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh!
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
This will likely, the new content will likely be the last thing I do for this stream, and I will continue it in a part 2 another day.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes,
The
you
soundtrack.
see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
The soundtrack for this game is honestly gorgeous. If you've never just listened to it straight up, I do encourage it. It's got some amazing pieces, both from the original run and new ones for all of the new content.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
More teaspoons, better teaspoons. I like that one. That was fun.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
These are really bad twos. These chairs look really comfy. Or very uncomfy. One extreme or the other has to be. These are honestly really bad twos. How'd they get a bus in here? Ain't nowhere for it to come from.
Here we are. Go on. try out some of the new features.
That's honestly very cool. This whole expo hall is very, very cool. Jim.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally, dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy.
Jim.
Sometimes a person can be
Jim.
too much, Jim.
Jim.
I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim.
Took my Jim button. Can't have shit in Detroit. I would love to hear that AI say She-Ra. That'd be hilarious. Real rib tickler.
I suppose I could allow only
You were
people
Jim in the
named
game.
Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
I've got to talk to Timekeeper more, I believe. But I have this trophy. I have all but two of them. Okay, well, did it reset my trophies? Can it do that? I know it reset the game progress, but to get rid of my trophies? Maybe I just have to do it again in the game. It doesn't actually read the trophy, it just reads whether or not I did it. Oh, my jumps.
You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the
No jumps?
sequel.
Sag. Bad feature. See, I have this one. But you're not supposed to get it until after the keeper. So I guess we'll
Now,
see
here's
now.
something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
So I guess it did. That's interesting. I didn't think it would reset the achievements. I figured it would just reset everything else. Wowzers.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Oh,
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on
Balloons?
Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
get well Sunday.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Sweet.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Deeper.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Okay, and I guess we're back in the hole now. Did you really need to see it again? I don't know what else there is to say, Stanley. It's an infinite hole. It's exactly what you're doing right now, but forever. There really are so many other fascinating exhibits that I prepared for you. I really spent quite a lot of time on all this, and I would very much like to show you some more of them. How about we go ahead and press that teleport button again so we can get back to what's really important about... Oh, goodness. Well, this is rather embarrassing, Stanley. I'll be honest with you. I truly did not believe that anyone would actually stay in the hole long enough to hit the bottom. Yes, I know, I told you the hole was infinite, but come on. Who actually wants to fall forever?
Me.
The hole was plenty deep. It was more than deep enough, in my opinion. Maybe it's you who likes falling too much. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, Then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
One more.
I really do have so much more to gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot.
I don't want to be ported out of here, so I will not be stepping into the divot. What a nice divot, though. Yes. I've missed the Stanleys.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
It's such a weird way to display it, though, narrator. Why this? Very unnerving. Very cool. Very unnerving. Huzzah.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
I believe that was all of it. Oh no, the bucket. I almost forgot about the bucket. I don't really care for the bucket. But I'll grab the bucket. Just to have it.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Do I have to? I like the jarring cognitive dissonance. Damn. Nope.
Can you feel it? The glow of
really got a
comfort,
kick out of
even
that
in
one.
the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
It already has stickers on it. It's honestly been so long since it came through here for the very first time. I don't honestly remember if it was supposed to come with stickers here, and then the one you get put in the office doesn't, and you can get them in the broom closet. But I thought the broom closet with the bucket for the first time was the only place you got the stickers, and then from then on they had it. I didn't think they had it in the expo hall. Maybe there is still some remnant of my previous playthrough seeping through. The end truly never is the end. Okay, that is definitely all now. Cool.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
That Stanley is spooky.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
I like that carpet.
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
What a title screen. How snappy, how sharp, how visionary and beautiful. And what a good end card. At just about almost exactly 2 hours, that is where I will leave off part 1 of the Stanley Parable light commentary playthrough. I don't have any specific day of when I will make a second part, although I doubt that will super matter. It's not like I have a waiting audience. But in case somebody does happen to come across this by chance before I've uploaded part 2, I'll say this just for them. For you special viewer, likely one of 2. There will be one viewer, and it will have been me, with my own stream open the whole time. So lucky you, if you're hearing this, there will be a part 2, if you want it. With that, I will simply close you out. So fare thee well. Thank you for watching if you've watched up to here. Goodbye.